Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say before we start this week's podcast that the experiences that are shared on this podcast are our own, mine and my guest, and we don't expect that everyone would have had the same experiences that we've had. So this is by no means a blanket summary of every UK university's experience. So please just bear that in mind. And also, during this podcast, there is a little bit of bad language. So if you are easily offended, then this podcast might not be for you. And we definitely won't be offended if you switch off. But otherwise, enjoy the podcast, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Hello, and welcome to Thacker's Sunday Hangover with me, James Thacker. It's episode 4, and it's an episode that I'm very much looking forward to bringing you because on today, you might have already heard in the background, already trying to sabotage this podcast, is one of my very best friends, someone that I met at university, which is actually the topic of today's podcast, is Mr. Ayo Adeniji. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
I am fantastic.
So glad to be here. So glad to be part of this amazing journey of yours.
I'm excited.
To start
from one master podcaster to another, as in you to me. This is exciting.
Say less. Don't worry. I haven't got that title yet, but we'll be back one day.
Do you know what? I'm actually happy that we're doing this because you've saved me having to watch the end of the diabolical Spurs game that I've just been watching. So,
are you guys getting popped? I wasn't even watching.
No, we were winning 1-0 against Fulham, and I think it's probably done by now. So I'm hoping that we just managed to scrape a 1-0 win at relegation favourites Fulham. But there you go, life as a Spurs fan.
No, but Fulham have been causing some teams some trouble. They caused Man City some issue, didn't they?
Yeah,
in their game.
Realistically, we'd all like to be beating Fulham. They've got a couple. They've got a couple of ballers, but
yeah, you won. Fuck's sake, Fulham, man. Put it together. Sorry.
Anyway, how's things? How you been? How's work been? What's been going on?
Well, funnily enough, I'm currently in the building at work, taking some time out to do a podcast with my boy. Work's been long. That's what it's been. That's the only way to describe it. It's long, and it never stops. But I am enjoying it. Currently producing a package, which will be on Newsnight tomorrow. When does this come out? This
will be coming out either Friday or Saturday. I haven't decided yet, but
okay. At some point. So if it comes out Friday, if you're listening, BBC 2, 10:45, there's a package I've created that's going to be on there, and you can see my name in the credits and everything. And
I've just decided it's coming out on Friday before 10:45.
No, but listen, iPlayer is the thing. So if you watch on Saturday, just watch it on iPlayer. I won't ruin what it's about. Actually, I can say what it's about. It's about memorials to COVID. So yeah, go and watch that. Produced by yours truly.
Do you know what? I definitely haven't done a professional job there because you're actually only supposed to allow the guests to plug their thing at the end of the show, so they then have an incentive to actually give you the goods throughout the show.
Listen, there's nothing professional about this conversation, so it's fine.
But so obviously we're going to be talking about uni, which is where we met. Do you remember the day where we met?
I do. I distinctly remember it. So we met. I remember we met. We met in a kitchen at uni. You came on, it was a Halloween, was it?
Yeah, I think it was Halloween. I was actually talking to Ziggy about this last night, and I distinctly remember, I'm pretty sure it was that pre-drinks where I started making an omelette in pre's.
No, but the thing is, what do you mean, which pre-drinks? You made an omelette. That was your thing in first year. You just this is why everyone. That's why so many people. This is why at the beginning people were like, "This guy's weird," because you came to every pre. This was before we knew you that well. You just turn up to pre's and start cooking, and it's like, bro, what are you doing? This isn't your kitchen. You're not even your eggs. And yeah,
Completely antisocial behaviour. I remember Alex Grace, who we both know, was not the biggest fan of mine because I was using his eggs. Completely understandable, by the way, that he did not like me for that reason.
yeah, but
He was
Alex
also
knows he doesn't have much ground to stand on when it comes to antisocial behaviour in general kitchens. But um, yeah, yeah, I get you.
But yeah, I remember that night well, and then a budding bromance blossomed from those pre-drinks, and then it's been the rest is history, so they say. I
Yeah, not
think,
on that night though. That's the night I nearly died. Unfortunately, I
I
thought I was
mean, yeah, if I could remember every night I've died, honestly, from university nights out. But um, so how and then I guess I want to know as well, how has your lockdown been? I mean, we've had a bit of a catch up anyway, but how's your lockdown been? What's like in terms of your old headspace? How's that been?
yeah. So the first lockdown, I was pretty fine for it. Like even all the way through from like March all the way through to like October. But it was in November lockdown, which I think I started to be a bit like, what is this about? Um, I think just going into it, I was just a bit miserable anyway. Not for anything particularly. I just think I was, and then they're like, we're locking down again for a month, and I was like, oh, I can't even go for a drink. Um, but yeah, but this lockdown, I've kind of been fine. Everyone's saying that the third lockdown's been the worst, but for me, I feel like it's been better because we've known about the vaccine since the beginning of this one. I think that was when it was first announced that the rollout was happening.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've kind of been okay this lockdown, just working away. I've had a lot to do as well, so that's helped.
Yeah, I think it's gone one of two ways for people. I think people have either kind of like consolid or like compounded their already existing frustrations with lockdown, and just by getting even more annoyed that we're in another one, and kind of just in a way not given up, but just let their frustrations get the best of them, and then maybe not taking it as an opportunity to again get stuck into things like work or extra projects, or something that can, I suppose, spark a bit of passion or life in what is, I suppose, a very difficult time. So I'm glad that you've kind of gone the more positive route. Not saying that people that have gone the negative route are doing it badly, or that's a condemnation to what they're doing. But I think, I suppose, the way you frame it, if you see it as more of an opportunity and just a way that, okay, look, we've got the vaccine coming now. Let's just get heads down in the short run, and then long run, everything's going to be okay. It's just about kind of sucking it up, I guess, for this next little bit. And I suppose something that's helped massively, and something that's been announced over the last week, although we do have to kind of treat it with a pinch of salt, is what Boris has announced with the kind of relaxation of the rules over the next month or so. So that gives us little checkpoints to look forward to, right?
Yeah, I'll be back in these streets regardless. To be honest, like it's time. We've done we've paid our dues in full, and I deserve my accolades. I deserve it. So I need them. I need them. I need to be back on these streets. I live my life, and I need to be back to just enjoying it. So I can't. Yeah, I'm not glad. I feel like, um, not to say that like I haven't had much issue with respecting the lockdown rules. I haven't been like certain some of my friends. I won't name names. Um, Deji, who've been you know enjoying the fruits of their labor, I should say.
Oh wow, really? Wow.
Actually, well, maybe I shouldn't word it like that. That's quite disrespectful. He's been
Oh,
just
oh,
he's been a baby boy, just enjoying his life. And yeah, so I've been good. I've been good during lockdown, but then now it's got to the point where like a year later, my 20s are taking over. Like I need my freedom. I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
you gotta let me fly. Exactly, exactly. Well, on that point, I mean, and this is kind of is a beautiful link into university. Can you imagine being at university in third year? And I know how fondly you remember third year
I do.
on lockdown.
Thing is, I generally, I wouldn't say I'm not. I feel like I'm quite empathetic person in general, but I've never felt more worse for another group of people, and that might be an
Yeah.
exaggeration because life's awful to people. But but for university students, like I could not imagine like not having like the first year. There's not a single year of uni that I'd be like, okay, if I had to choose a year, even a year to like have it disrupted. Like, thank God I'm the age I am and I went to uni when I did because even for the people you're youngers, how likely is it that it's going to be ever going to be like the same again, like fully?
I know.
Like, it
I
won't
know.
be like
Yeah.
you're not gonna get those kind of F&Ds where they've packed everyone. To be honest, this might be better. Like, but those perfectly packed kind of like cogs sessions, never again.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon that the university life's going to change that much now? Like, I realise maybe in the short run, maybe next year, I mean, instead of foam parties, you're probably going to have like hand sanitizer bubbles. But, but, but
Good one.
do
You
you
better
really
trademark
think
that quickly.
that?
You better trademark that one quickly because
I think that could blind a lot of people. That could do a lot of damage, but it would be more of a war weapon rather than a night out. But do you really think that coming up, I guess in the next year of university, that things really are not going to go back to normal that quickly?
okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I just don't think like okay. First of all, this year I get that people want to go like festivals and stuff. Not to go on a bit of a tangent, but I don't know how this year they're even doing that. I think that's a stupid idea. I think festivals should not be until next year. But I
Yeah.
just feel like, to be honest, I guess this is a good thing. I think like moving forward, they're just gonna have to be they're gonna be super strict with like capacity, um, and maybe so much so it reduces kind of like that kind of situation where you have these usual packed clubs. But this is just conjecture. I might be completely wrong, and it might just be back to business as usual in 2022.
Yeah.
Everyone humping on the dance floor. Um,
I mean, they might introduce things like, having the vaccine, like how we had on our student cards a badge to say I'm LSU. I can't even remember, like an LSU member, or
the
to say that you
what do
LSU
you
for
call it?
entry.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that one.
but
Gold
they might.
something.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah,
Some VIP, mega, super, ultra, wicked, cool badge. But
yeah. What
you
was
could
it
also
called
have
again? Not that it matters, but what was that? Anyway, carry on.
the Elvin Richards badge. I think. I think there could be a similar badge to potentially say, I've had the vaccine. And then if you haven't had that, then you're not allowed in. Um, or they could potentially turn to, and probably not a smart idea in the UK where it is very cold, but not that we tend to mind anyway, but outside events more. So that you've got more open air, especially during freshers where the weather's usually quite warm anyway. Um, then they could potentially introduce outdoor events. One thing that I think about, something that they might tighten up on, is actually hooking up and like having more security around the doors of halls of residence and stuff, saying, if you don't live here, you ain't coming in, which would be an absolute nightmare.
Oh, dude, it'll
Can you
be
imagine?
not for me because obviously I never did any of that stuff, that disgusting
Yeah,
behavior.
you're a good Christian boy, I
Of
remember.
course, no, it's not about religion. It's just about personal morals. But for like these other heathens, yourself, um, any other people you might know, yeah, it must be difficult to go through uni, not being able to indulge your sin that way. Yeah, that would be difficult.
Well, do you know what? Let's send the positive vibes. I've got an intern with us at our company at the moment who actually, do you know what? I think this is the best year ever to have taken a placement year, because
Yeah.
so lucky to now then go back to uni when things will hopefully be back to normal and vaccines have been administered and things like that. Because yeah, and I really do feel, like you say, for the people that are at uni at the minute. Obviously, you'd like to think that they'll all come out with top grades because they won't have much of the distraction, but at the same time, it's going to have taken a massive toll on things like mental health. And you can't just work the whole time. You do need that social element to offset how hard you're working and how hard you're studying. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about that because
No, you
so
did work when you needed to. Yeah, I think you.
I
One thing
did.
I always say is that you were really good at like going to the library and just like banging out a bit of work. Like I was like, it wasn't until final year when it was crunch time that I actually managed to do that. And even then, there'd be certain days I'd go there. I'd just be on what Twitter, YouTube,
Yeah,
and I'd
I
eat
mean,
then
yeah, I remember
chat.
your work ethic when it came to the your dissertation was just absolutely off the charts because I just remember you were coming back in at like silly o'clock, like late at night, just in the library, living there. I was like, "Hey, Ayula, fancy going out at some point this month slash year?" And you're like, "No, dissertation." So I suppose we both kind of learned when the chips were down to really kind of like I suppose it's got to be head down now, especially third year. But
Yeah, that's because
yeah,
we spent the beginning of third, fourth year, whatever you want to call it, treating it like it was freshers again. Like that first term after we came back, I did I did work, but it was basically like a slightly more what's the word? Slightly more focused like second year, or slightly more focused second year, or slightly more focused first year. Like I was just living life. So when it came to the end of the year, I had to be like, okay, no, I can't take the piss. So I have to do what I got to do. But the thing is, it seems so stressful. But that was probably only for about like a month and a half. I did that just at the end of my dissertation, and then I was back out in the streets enjoying life.
oh, that was a glorious time. So rewinding back to the very start of your university journey, I'm just kind of wondering. So, what was the original motivation to go to uni? And then, do you think overall, from what you expected out of uni, you got from it in terms of what you originally thought it was?
Um, so I went to uni to make friends because didn't have any friends before. Um, I was a bit of a loner, and everyone, I heard that at university people are friendly, so I went there for the purpose of friendship. Um, yeah, then at uni, people are nice to me either, so I guess I'm joking. No, I think uni was just always a thing that I was always going to do in my family. I come from like I'd say, quote unquote, traditional Nigerian family. Traditional kind of, but like in the sense that education wise, my mum was very traditional. It was like there was no choice. It was like I was gonna get good GCSEs, get good A levels, and then I was gonna go to university. Um, Loughborough specifically, I didn't even really do. It was really funny going to Loughborough because everyone who wanted, like it seemed like everyone else who was at Loughborough, like really wanted to go to Loughborough, and I was just there like I didn't even research this place. I just put it as my insurance because I had to put like an ABB or an A,
Yeah,
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 like an
yeah.
ABB second.
Come on.
So
Yep.
I put Bristol first. Then I got AAB, and Bristol was 3 A's, so ended up with you guys in in Loughborough.
And we were much better for it.
Of course, I did grace that university with some great times, but no, but yeah, no, but then it was but specifically course wise, I really wanted to go to university for like psychology because it was the first time I realized I wanted to do something because I wanted to actually become a clinical psychologist. I'm no longer on that path now, but yeah, I realized I guess when I was like 15, 16, it was kind of like university is just what I wanted to do. It was just what had to do. But after doing psychology in sixth form, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do at uni. Look forward to it. Yeah, that's it.
And to be honest, I'm really disappointed with the outcomes of your degree personally because you never did learn to read anyone's mind after doing 4 years of psychology. So that was a massive disappointment to me, and you still aren't able to levitate. So you
Yeah,
know,
it's a
it's
shame.
what it is. You get out what you put in. But in terms of what you expected, did when you come out and you reflect on your 4 years at uni, do you think that yeah, that's about what I expected, or is it something completely different?
Um, in some ways, yeah. In other ways, to be honest, like I don't know, like socially and in terms of that vibe, 100%. Like I always say, obviously speaking to some of my mates who, obviously some mates loved uni, some mates didn't love uni, but I always say I was lucky that I was put with like a good group of people so I could enjoy uni fully. And yeah, socially wise, uni was exactly as I expected. Like, met like a good bunch of people, have a lot of friends for life, the whole kind of stereotypical one. Academically, maybe slightly different. I think university was the first time where I was like, oh, sometimes I can put like always the way it had been. And I think at every stage of my life, GCSEs, A level, my main like limiting factor in terms of like certain exams had always been um, the amount of effort I'd put into it.
Yeah.
So like I'd be like, oh, like I could have got an A instead of a B in that exam if I just spent a lot of time. But I think university was the first time, especially with some of the coursework, where I was like, I've gone ham on this and I've just got like a 2-2. And I'm like, okay, so where do I go
So,
next?
so what now? Yeah.
Exactly. So where do I go next? What do I do? What's like? So I think
Do you know what? That was one of the things that I struggled at uni. I mean, from an academic point of view, I think in my course I was a little bit out of my depth to a degree because I think I took an economics and finance degree, by the way, for people that don't know, and maths was not a prerequisite. It was recommended, but it was not a prerequisite. It was definitely needed, and I didn't do maths, and it led me to have to retake my exams in first year and essentially learn A-level maths over a summer with thanks to my good friend Chris Pollitt, who was my old economics teacher at Harrow. So I was very, very
oh,
blessed to
you
be
went
able
to
to have
Harrow.
him. Listen, we're not getting sidetracked today. Not today.
I was just wondering. I forgot. It just you hadn't mentioned it before, so I just
I've done a good job of hiding that on this podcast so far, but there we go. I've let it slip, unfortunately. But I think in terms of my personal experience from uni, I think I went into uni thinking of the romanticized version that films used to portray, where you go to lectures and you'd have this, really interactive intellectual debate. Everyone's up for it. Everyone's kind of, you're not necessarily cast down for being outspoken, or there's just a general vibe that everyone wants to be there to learn in your class. And when I got there, it was just completely different, especially for first and second year. Definitely third year, I think everyone's kind of realized, okay, now's the time to actually switch on. But I just felt, did you kind of feel the same that in lectures or in seminars and stuff, there was just really little engagement or interactiveness? And I found myself having to kind of, volunteer my opinion just to break the awkward, oh, shut up, Siri, just to break the awkwardness of the silence of just no one talking ever. It was so bizarre. I don't know if you had that in your
yeah.
course
We
as
had
well.
no. Well, as in like it was touch and go. It was like it was a mixture of. I'll be honest. On my own part, sometimes a lack of engagement, but also to a certain degree, there was a few just lectures that were just fucking dreadful and very boring.
Yeah,
But then, like, that's the only way to describe it. And like until you have like organizational business psychology at like 4 o'clock on a Friday, where you're just sat there like, why am I here? Like,
yeah,
would never forget that. Like, our first year lecture was in like um, the other side of campus. No, you're on the Cope, the Cope Auditorium, which is on
yeah,
the side.
yeah,
So, okay, for people who didn't go to Loughborough, it's just like a faraway place on campus. Um, and I was just always like, to be honest, I'd skip it most of the time. Let's be honest. But when I did go there, I was like, this is allow it, and I got 68% of that exam because vibes. But
yeah,
it was just very boring. But then
yeah.
there was some really kind of like with psychology. There of course is some really really interesting stuff. Um, that's that's how to describe really really interesting stuff. And yeah, and then we had a really good lecturer. What was his name? That was a bald guy. Bald guys always tend to be quite funny, aren't they? He did our what was it called? I think it was like developmental psychology. No, it was something like that. Anyway, this was like 6 years ago now. And he was just he was really interactive. He was funny, but I say lecturers like him were few and far between. be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree. But just going back to what I said before, and me volunteering opinions, I'm by no way a model student, and so I did that, but infrequently. But just to chop up, what was otherwise an awkward lecture with not so great tutors and lecturers that we had. I didn't feel like I resonated a lot with any lecturers really until third year, which is quite sad to say because you go for the whole experience rather than that just 1 year. And I felt like a little bit it was because I had more autonomy over what courses and what modules I could take. But I also felt like I suppose again you do get out what you put in, but I felt like at first year and second year, you do also get a sense that the lecturers don't care as much. I don't know if that's just me, but there was one guy that I had who taught me macroeconomics, and he would pace in front of the lecture hall, looking down at the ground, just speaking for an hour. That was his method of lecturing, maybe taking the occasional look up to make sure that no one had nodded off. But I just thought, really, this is what I'm getting into 45 grand's debt worth for this bloke who literally I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and so that made me massively disengaged with that particular lecturer. So it was massively mixed, but then again I also had lecturers that were fantastically engaging and would want to have open debate and things like that. So I think uni educationally wise, massively mixed, but it definitely wasn't the same experience for me that I expected going in, and it definitely isn't how it's portrayed in those kind of American movies where everyone's sitting in rows and you have amazing intellectual debate and ideas are popping left, right, and centre, and someone wins a Nobel Peace Prize for for one of their ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What about the social side? Did that live up to your expectations at all, even slightly, or was it just different?
oh well, the thing is, and this is something I wanted to touch on, was that before you go to university, and anyone that's recently graduated, before you apply for universities or before you join, everyone without a fail will tell you how much of a party university is. So in my in
Yeah.
my mind, as a late teenage mind, I'm like, I cannot wait to go to uni because, I mean, I'd had a long time of kind of not ever drinking because of rugby or because I just wasn't allowed due to school restrictions or whatever. With living a very very regimented, scheduled life, and the prospect of having the wheels completely taken off, like you know just ready to let it rip basically was massively appealing. So I was like, I cannot wait to just go and let loose on this uni. But I do think there's probably a bit of a problem with that because that's actually not what university's for. And, and I
It's
was
not
going to say,
just be not to be excitement on steroids and just let go like a
well, exactly. I mean, it's there for a degree for you to go and socialize and meet people and have experiences. And I'm very very grateful to have met the people that I have through uni. Some of them have been best friends that I still stay in touch with all the time, and that I share such good memories with. Um, but I just think university in general, as a concept, has changed so much from what it was originally sought out to be. And things that were set up in the past don't always necessarily mean that's always a good idea for the purpose of why we're setting it up now. And things evolve and things graduate, but I just think some people see university now as a 4 year piss up.
yeah, 100%.
And
As in,
and I
well, as in no opportunity, with no opportunity, no, not opportunity, with no kind of intention of engaging with their course.
Yeah, and I think back in the day, it was seen as a place for further thought, to challenge ideas, to find the next way of doing things in society. Like some of the most influential people in society were the only people to go to university back when it was very first set up, especially in the UK. But now it feels like it's turned into this place where it's like this rite of passage for most people in the UK. I'd say I think that's probably the ideals. Although I know so many people that don't go to university for whatever reason, but it's just seen as this place where you kind of get through and then once you're out the other side, that's when you kind of then start your proper life. But it's that 4 year window where you can like, yeah, I could do anything, or just make a complete mess. You can just go in, with any kind of expectation. And I don't know. I just don't know what university is there for anymore for a lot of people. I know that for specific kind of job lines and industries and professions, that university is absolutely essential. So things like doctors, lawyers, professions like that. But otherwise, it's pretty free for all. And so I just think some people go there, yeah, I'll go to uni, see what happens, I'll make a mess and then see what happens, come out the other side. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, but no, I do actually agree. But I think in terms of like the kind of changing of university from the kind of that kind of old school, you know, um, house of thought, a house of kind of debate that it kind of used to be. Do you feel like that is linked to the kind of um, the way university now just seems like a necessary finishing school for like the job market, that like people know they need to go there um to get this piece of paper to get into like any sort of job, because of how like difficult the job market's become, without really necessarily being that interested in developing or debating on thought. So you have a lot of people who just, it's kind of just like an extra sixth form, an extra like sixth form plus, because that's how tired my brain is right now. That, that's the
Yeah,
extent.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you
That's the
mean.
extent of it. And I feel for like a lot of people, it's like um um they're paying however much like a year, like and altogether paying above like up to and above 50K um, for this educational thing, which I know might suggest that you would want to um, do more, but I feel like there's a. I feel like if people were pushed into wanting to go to university, not necessarily pushed, but if people's feelings of wanting to go to university were grounded in kind of like actually wanting to expand their knowledge, then yeah. But I feel like for a lot of people, like I said, it's just a finishing school. Kind of like, oh, I need to go here, otherwise searching for jobs is going to be deep. Um, I
Yeah,
don't know.
but the thing is, these days though, I don't know if it is though. I see so many people now getting jobs in very well paid jobs without university degrees, and I genuinely think that it's because university degrees have been so diluted now in terms of, okay, well, what actually differentiates a top quality degree and what differentiates the universities in terms of how hard it is to get in, and um, you know I think it's the job seekers market is so saturated now that
Oh,
they are
100%.
kind of stripping it back to basics in terms of looking at candidates and now, like, do you have something about you that would make you adequate for this job from a fundamental personal point of view, and from the skills that you've learned that you can display from the things that you've learned via uni or elsewhere, and the extracurricular activities that you do. And I think that's why and I've got a younger brother, like, so I'll be saying to Will, yes, university, fantastic time, and I had I saw value out of what I did there, and it can work for a lot of people, but it's by no way an absolute necessity now to go through to be able to land a good job on the other side.
Yeah, 100%. But like you're right. It's I think it's multiple elements. Like um, university, going to uni is like it comes from like different people. For like different people have different reasons, and I think different demographics have different reasons. Like often, a lot of children of immigrants, not just them, but for an example, many, for example, people come from African homes, or like myself. University is kind of like your just necessary next step. It's seen as the key to stable life and income, etc. So often many go without even questioning, and that might be the same for working class kids whose parents are from here as well. Whereas for other people who maybe didn't even come from such backgrounds, university is also just seen as like the next step. Like I said, from parents' generations from going to university in the 80s and like in the 80s, where it's like, or 80s or 90s or whatever, where you know back then it was like I said, it was less diluted, so it was like a very special thing. So they want their kids to also replicate then. So yeah, I think there's so many different reasons why it's just become so kind of diluted, as you say. But I think, yeah, and I definitely think it's definitely important to start promoting alternative routes, because obviously if you've like if you've seen so much of the kind of info around, especially student loans, you see a lot of it now as becoming like effectively so many people aren't paying it back fully that
Yeah.
effectively just becomes a tax. And
Yeah.
because in the 29-30 year period, majority of people just will just end up just literally paying off the interest.
Oh, 100%, mate. I've had a look at, mate, have you seen your repayments, by the way, so
I
far?
haven't seen it in a bit, but it was
Don't look
huge.
at it.
It was huge
Hideous.
then. Like
No, but I when I say that I haven't even made a dent in the interest payments yet, it's just an absolute joke. If there's a one way to depress yourself, then it's looking at your student. Just don't even bother. Like if there's only what there's one piece of advice that people can take from this podcast is don't look at your student repayments and how much you're paying compared to how much interest is being lumped on, because it's just not one for a Friday afternoon.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that is really interesting. I think as much as I loved university, and I still think even since we've left, the university's changed again so much. But definitely in the last 10 years, 20 years, what university is compared to what it used to be has changed an unbelievable amount. So I suppose as much as I reflect on it and go, yeah, like I think I'd probably make the same decision again. I'd urge people to kind of have a look at all the routes before deciding, yes, I absolutely do want to put myself in nearly 50 grand's worth of debt for a piece of paper. Completely switching tracks now. And this is on a topic to do with university that I know that we both experienced. So relationships at uni, do they work? Yes or no?
Yeah. Cut the cameras, dead ass.
Narrator, he said unconvincingly.
No, but okay. Of course they do. Yeah. But I'm guessing I'm meant to elaborate, aren't I? But
The general
I
idea.
feel like universities was made for relationships. Like so many relationships have. I think, but why? When you say work, do you mean do they work in a long term, post university relationships that start in uni, or
So, from
relation,
my experience,
relationships going into uni? So many
I'll
layers.
give you, I'll give you the context of where that question's come from, because I know that both of us entered uni with relationships and they finished quite quickly after joining uni. We both had relationships during university that also didn't last the full duration, and obviously, like I think we can both agree these are just very positive chapters of our life that we don't hold any kind of regret or whatever over.
No,
But
that second one wasn't quite right, but I get what you're trying to say.
So, from my personal experience from having a relationship, I think going in, you think, yeah, this is definitely going to work. I love you. I love you forever. Will last throughout the whole of uni. Just for context, I went out with someone that went to university in Southampton, and I went to university in Loughborough. 6.5 hours via train, just by the way. So over time, we were getting in so many arguments, and also there is the obvious kind of distraction that you go through as a hot-blooded male during freshers year at uni, in that there are lots and lots of other
Old man.
distractions around, which I know isn't probably that nice to say, but when you're young and you're 19, it's just the fact of life. And so for me, I don't think I realized at the time how much of an inevitability it was that it was probably not going to last, being 6.5 hours away from my girlfriend. So yeah, unfortunately, that ended quite soon, or fortunately, unfortunately, it ended quite soon after freshers finished. Do you think it's realistic for someone to go into uni with a girlfriend and think, yes, this is lasting 100%?
It's yeah, I've seen it. Like it's rare, but it can happen. But what I would say is that like it really depends on. Sounds like it's also such an obvious answer, but it depends on the people. Like um, if you and your partner are both people who can like handle distance, and you've set up a rota of seeing each other, and you know you're not the type to you don't kind of you're not the type of person who needs someone else to be there like on a regular basis, then yeah, I think you can do it um, by going to separate unis. Actually, did a couple I know go to separate unis? Anyway, but points or
This is what I mean.
I
The
think,
evidence is
I
stacked
think you can.
against.
I think you can with that thing. But honestly, I just think like, and this is not even just me commenting myself. I just think the majority, a lot of 18-year-olds who are in relationships realize that they were relationships of convenience. I didn't believe that myself, and I still don't think it was at the time. But I don't believe that by myself. But I'm just saying when I speak to a lot of people, I'm just saying like, especially with some people who like crumpled really quickly. I'm like, bruv, you like I still one of the my funniest memories of that was obviously I'm not gonna be out any names, but on like the first day of freshers, we were in like the people in my hall. We were in just the but you know they randomly gathered you somewhere, and I think we were in like James France building, and then I was in like a circle with a few of the boys in my hall, and then someone was like, "Oh, so who here has a girlfriend?" And like a fair few of us said, "Yeah, bruv." Tell me why by that same by that same evening, I'm seeing about four of the guys in that circle like dropping heavy moves and generally and like copying on with about. And I'm like, oh, bruv, guys, what happened? Like, I thought we were in this together. You know, like guys with girlfriends abroad. But yeah, me. And then I was just there. I was just there.
Were you living by any chance? Were you living on the set of High School Musical when you said we're all in this together?
That's what I thought. I was no,
That way.
what was it? I was embodying my I was embodying some High School Musical spirit, thinking we're all in this together. These, yeah, they were not on the same team.
Back when Elu was innocent. Oh,
Yeah,
those
they,
days.
they were, yeah, it was a bit mad, but yeah, but see that just
Shortly.
kind of that stuff, like you don't like clearly it wasn't even that deep. If the first day you land at uni, you've gone mad like this, so yeah, I just think you have to be in the right mindset. Like, I'm sure it can happen, but I just think for a lot, I'll honestly say the majority of couples, it doesn't work, and there's a reason why it doesn't work.
And by the way, that it definitely works for both sexes because I've experienced it with both as well, where people, girls again in relationships have done exactly the same.
I don't know.
Do you
Yeah,
know?
this is equal opportunity cheating, by the way. From what like equal opportunity madness that I've seen. Like girls who've said they've had boyfriends and done this, and boys like it's just a jungle. So I'm just
We're all about equality here on Thacker Sunday Hangover, so you
each
have
and
to give
every
a shout
time.
out to
Amen,
the
hallelujah.
girls.
But
But do you know one of the things as well, and I wrote a note on this. Um, One of the biggest things as well is just and puts jeopardy to university relationships due to the frequency that you find yourselves on nights out, and you're not necessarily always on nights out together, especially when you're going to different unis. Is just men being an absolute nuisance on a night out. uh, we all have experienced it, I think, where your girl will say that they've got a boyfriend and then just continue to be hounded. And I think there's something. What I mean, you're the psychologist here, so you'll probably have a deeper insight as to the mentality behind the male ego. But when there's something about it, when a girl says that they've got a boyfriend, it's almost like they've just said "game on."
yeah, toxic masculinity on 100. I don't like. Yeah, no, I think it's not even that hard to figure out. Like it's an ego thing. Like if like you know you want Like not me, because I don't do them things, but certain people, certain men, I guess girls too, have this kind of idea that if someone has a partner and then they can secure them, then they've asserted their dominance over this other person. But I just think that is thing is I don't think it's even a what do you call it? I don't even think it's necessarily about being a nice person or kind person. I just think if you do stuff like that, the world has some presents for you in the future. So like you don't. I don't think you even need to believe in karma or God or anything to not be doing them things. But like I just think you can't you can't tell me people who go out their way to sleep with other people's girls find happiness in this life. It can't be true. Impossible.
I love that so much. Yeah, the children of the devil. So I suppose that leads me on to my next kind of topic actually quite nicely. So in terms of kind of nights out and that's strongly linked to sex culture and relationships, I guess. Do you think that, and especially since we've been at uni and since we've left as well, the rise and wide adoption of feminism has kind of played a role in the stomp out of kind of these regressive, I suppose, male behaviors and attitudes towards women? And do you think as well? Because I've definitely experienced it where men are calling out each other on behaviors which are just no longer tolerated.
Yeah, I think not to just sound. I feel like the friends I've had have always like. I feel like I've always been kind of like that, even from when we were younger. It's like I don't even ever remember like someone because obviously this is it's important to obviously say this is a serious issue, which is clearly
Yeah,
which is rampant. But on a personal level, um, I don't think I've ever been friends with anyone who's been like, yeah, I just go around slapping bums or doing this or that or like leaking news or anything, all crazy, all that kind of stuff has never been
yeah,
like
that's the
I'll
extreme
get
end, I'd say.
I'll
Yeah,
100% get bullied in my group of friends. But also I don't. I'm a bit more cynical in about how much progress has been made. Like if I just think about the last time we were at uni, my ex got no. And what do you, when they put
groped,
stuff? Well, I forgot the word. Yeah, my
oh,
ex got spiked.
spiked.
And I had to literally run down fucking what's that long road in Loughborough? The main road, Epinal, not Epinal Way. Might be Epinal Way. The one that leads all the way into town. That yeah. I
Yeah,
had to run up that street at like 1 in the morning, um, to go and get her because she like had been spiked and ended up passing out and looked after by people. Um,
jeez.
and like, bruv, that was in 2018. So, um, and
Mm.
she would always regularly say, to me when she was out and about how guys would constantly be trying it, to try it, even she said no. She'd have to say she has a boyfriend just to, tell people to go away. Um, so yeah, maybe I'm like definitely. I hope things will improve, but I'm a bit cynical about how much stuff have improved.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point you raise because you know you still do see quite a lot of behaviour where in wider world that's just it's not really tolerated, but it feels like because uni at times definitely did feel like a very lawless place because they didn't see it kind of felt like we policed ourselves to a large degree. Obviously, you had the bouncers at the clubs and yeah, but Loughborough as a university tended not, and I know that there's only a limited amount that they can do as an educational body, and this goes for a lot of universities out there. But when you're kind of off campus and especially in town, you're kind of ruling yourselves. And when there's a lot of you, and obviously you're all interlinked and you're going to a lot of events on a frequent occasion, these things would happen real frequently. And it's I don't know. I suppose I'm trying to think about what is it that drives the mentality that you can just behave any way you want just because you go to university. I think is is it because you're away from any kind of parental guidance? And I know that that sounds maybe silly to say, but a lot of these decision making and a lot of the foolishness that we see comes from immaturity, for one, but also it could be deeper rooted in terms of how they were brought up, or what kind of support network they have and how much that kind of behavior is pulled up on. But for me, I saw some things that you need. I mean, some of this behavior towards the opposite sex and just in general, when you're on nights out, this antisocial behavior, I don't know. I don't really know what gives university students the right to just go around acting like complete pricks sometimes.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely a kind of culture at university. I guess obviously, like you said, issues with masculinity and issues with men, but in general, there's problems at university, like culture wise across the board, like with both genders. And one thing I remember you saying is that you felt it was like, I'm not sure if you remember saying this, but um,
So a lot of wise things.
yeah, well, a lot's a strong phrase. You say wise things. You said a wise thing. um, how do you know this was going to be wise anyway? But yeah, and you basically said that often a lot of the issues that you see at uni, especially really like universities that are higher in the league tables, is just a reflection of the issues that you see at private schools in like, um, and it's the same kind of madness and like egotistical fights and bitchiness from. And I've probably heard it from like from like a girl's perspective too, and that just university is just like an older reflection of that, and that's why you have so many elements of like all these horrific stories you hear. Kind of like I won't repeat too many of them because I don't know what the legal status of some of those situations are, but like
Yeah.
some of the some of the stories about some of the initiations. I mean, more so like you hear there was the one about the hockey boys where I won't repeat it, but all I know that someone's mum had to call in and basically switch, and then a few of the third year hockey boys got banned for a few months for making freshers do weird shit to each other. So like
Yeah.
apparently, I think yeah, I wouldn't know how to articulate it specifically. I don't want to say it's just about masculinity, but I think there's someone say that privileged people get bored and start doing crazy shit, and I definitely, I definitely believe that is true. And I feel like that's one of the biggest issues that I see in kind of that I saw in Loughborough to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose to a degree, we can only speak from personal experience, right? And I think you could definitely see that there were the people that were still riding the high of that, the wealth gap and the class gap, that
Yeah,
they were kind of maybe riding even from school, like you say. And a lot of these people, if they don't have that, then that takes away a lot of the essence of what they are. And if they don't constantly exert it, and that could be in many forms, like having the power over someone else in terms of bantering someone off the face of the earth to make themselves feel better, or maybe sleeping with as many people of the opposite sex, or whatever, to boost their ego and seem like an absolute legend, or being the most popular person in a sports society, or even to things like buying bottles at a table at a club that really doesn't matter. Like it's things like that I suppose you can see those kind of behaviors will stem from people feeling the need to always be on top to a certain degree. And when you can buy yourself there, and when you can pave your way there through just daddy's wallet or wherever you've come from, then it's going to be a lot easier for those, I suppose, behaviors to surface, I guess.
yeah, yeah. So what's the solution? We start robbing people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Robin Hood. You can be Little John, and we'll before the
You know what? There was no need for that. We were doing.
this what what what
Why am I Little John?
it's a podcast. They can't see how tall you are. They wouldn't know.
They can
In
hear
the
it.
cartoon version of Robin Hood, he was very tall. He was a big old bear.
I'm
So
joking. Also, Little John was huge. That was the joke.
so,
That's
so
what I was.
you've played yourself. You're coming off stupid. Um, Going back to sex culture, just quickly, how
I've
much?
never done that before, so I
How
don't know.
listen, you stop. We'll be having no lies on this podcast. But how much do you think that was a terrible Scottish accent, by the way? How much do you think sex culture dominated nights out in terms of the motives? Because from some of the interactions that we had, I mean, but together we might have had some, but sometimes
What?
you
Together we might have had some what?
some well, not sexual experiences, but times where we'd choose a location to go on a night out based on how likely we are to potentially hook up with someone. Like, how much do you think?
100%. I'll say that with chest. I did that. It was me. I've done it. I've done it multiple times. No, because you know what? Look, right. Like I feel like it's harmless, isn't it? To a certain degree. Like, okay, I think there's a big difference between a single 19-year-old, 20-year-old in university, and I want to have sex with someone, and there's someone I'm feeling, and if I know, but also Loughborough, like there's only a set amount of clubs that everyone goes to, similar ones on the same day, but I think there's nothing wrong with being like, oh yeah, I want to go to X, Y, and Z. But if I want to talk about sex, I think the where's the sex culture in uni becomes an issue is where people felt like, if I wasn't having sex or if I hadn't had sex in a while, I'm losing some sort of ratings.
Stripes even.
Yeah, stripes even. But
and a horrific flashback to first year.
Oh god, what a fucking awful game! What a toxic game. Stripes. Let's get. But that never ended in peace. But yeah, no, I just feel like, so I feel like that kind of maybe pushed some guys to kind of force an image that wasn't really them because they felt they needed to do it to kind of fit into the general culture of, the sex culture or whatever. Yeah, so I guess that's where it becomes an issue. But just, wanting to have sex regularly is what it is, like you're at uni, have fun, live life. Unless you're missing the lessons consistently, then you might have an issue. But otherwise, shake a leg.
Mate, I massively agree. Like I alluded to earlier, I think it's part and parcel of the uni experience to a degree. We're all animals at the end of the day, and there's going to be the need.
You are, I'm not. But
Listen, you're as bad as many. As but I agree in that once you start letting it dominate your nights out, where if you've not pulled on a certain night out, then you haven't had a good time. That's where the issue arises. And if you start trying to compare, and if you start judging your masculinity or how much you are as a man on how many people you sleep with on a weekly basis, then that's where lies the issue. But widely, it's I suppose harmless. Yeah, and I suppose the stripes comment needs explaining slightly. Where in first year there was a game that I suppose a game or a rule of thumb was invented. That however many times we lost composure or embarrassed ourselves during first year, that would be a loss of a stripe. And let's just say it caused some very heated kangaroo court debates. I didn't come off best all the time. I'll admit that.
I'm sorry, I'll never forget that one time because we actually, so basically one time we'd have what was meant to be a nice boys meetup where we sit down and discuss the stripes leaderboard, and every single fucking time it ended in a serious argument. Which never I was involved in. I just have to sit there while I can tell it's fucking descending into actual beef, and just be like, okay, fun's over. Now I'm going to fucking just go to bed. And I never forget because it was Bola who tried to twang his way out of some
every single one.
And then you were like,
he would not have a stripe against his name.
Then James here was like, I'm not having it, man. This guy's always trying to say.
Yeah, I decided that was indeed the hill that I was going to die on, and I would fight to the back to get these stripes invoked. But yeah, that was probably an example of where the toxic masculinity got the best of us. But in hindsight, absolutely hilarious memories. And Bola, I will always love you for those stupid memories of where we probably butted heads like stubborn goats / bison. But yeah,
Rooster
no.
too, hilariously. I just remember when there was the guy who leaned on him in Cogs, and then he just,
Oh wow! I can't even remember how many stripes we decided to deduct from that. I think it was something
the
like
thing is,
10.
that should be like
Which,
disqualification completely from the whole. But with complete what's the word, reverence and grace or fairness.
yeah, I
He just,
think he took the stripes like a man, but he wasn't happy about the whole situation. For reference, people in Loughborough, there was a sacred place, a very very hallowed ground, in which we'd all congregate on a Friday evening called Cognitos, and in that sacred place, one faithful night, our dear friend Musa was lent upon by a female to grind and wine on another gentleman, which you can imagine was received by the rest of the group with quite a lot of laughter. Would that be fair to say?
yeah.
Well, thank you, and I think that concludes the section of
That is an accurate description of what happened.
and stripes can die forever. Thank you.
Yes.
So moving on to our drinking culture topic. What ridiculousness is the drinking culture in the UK, and why is it so fantastic?
I'm not gonna lie. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't like the drinking culture in the UK. I feel like I have many things to criticize about this country every now and again, but I do like it. If we're talking about university specifically, um, is it too much? No. Yeah, that's it. No. I just, I just feel like okay. I feel like definitely okay. One thing I'll agree is that I drank too much. I drank too much in my second year of university, without like a doubt. Like, um,
Just
people always
second.
surprised when I say that second instead of first. That's how bad it was. Like I wasn't. The thing is, it's not even like I could say I was going through something. I was just having a great time. Like I wasn't like depressed or sad. Like I was actually in a really good spirits.
Yeah, do you know? I can actually testify to that because you were in such good spirits that one day during I think it was second year the winter exams, you were in such good spirits that you woke me up when it was snowing outside at 4 in the morning. We're in an American football helmet. Inviting me outside for a snowball fight when you when I had an exam in the morning. So to say that you were in good spirits would probably be an understatement, I'd say.
okay, so let me ask you a question, huh? If you're so smart, okay. What was the first question in that exam?
What's your name?
No, no, no. Don't be silly. What was the first question in the exam? Answer me, big man. Answer me.
But I'll be totally honest, I don't even remember what exam it
Exactly. But
was.
you remember that story, don't you?
So.
So on your deathbed, which one's going to be more important? Tell me.
Oh, listen, the memories that you've given me, sir, will battle that will battle the quality and worthiness of my degree for all time. So yeah, don't you worry about that.
Yes. You know what? Me too. I share the same sentiment.
So you're saying that hands down, drinking culture in the UK is the best. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
Uh,
there's obviously okay. If I have to say, let's be serious. Of course, there's a problem with the drinking culture in the UK. What a question? There's a problem. We go over our units. We probably have more pubs than we have hospitals. Um,
have you seen a pub map of the UK?
yeah, no, that's exactly what I said. But
Confession.
then again, probably there shouldn't be that many hospitals. Let me use a different simile. We have more pubs. I wouldn't be. We don't, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if we had more pubs than we have cars. Like literally, as in
Yeah,
the
that's that. Yeah,
we
it's a
definitely
mad.
don't, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think the drinking culture is insane and it's not right and it's killing people. And I remember watching a documentary. It was Adrian Charles was basically was trying to reduce his alcohol intake, and then one of the doctors on the documentary basically said that if alcohol was found now, it'd be illegal. Like if it was discovered now, it'd be illegal. So yeah, not saying that and listen, I'm completely biased. God forbid it's ever illegal, but um, it's an issue. It kills thousands of people a year. Um, could we do anything to change it? No, I just think it's too entrenched. And listen, we're living on Hell Island anyway. We need alcohol to cope. So I'm gonna Ray Charles that. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, mate, I agree, and I think to be fair, we're too far gone in terms of how much it's been entrenched into university culture, how big drinking is, and to be honest, I don't actually think that that's such a bad thing. It's a bad thing to a degree because we've got, you have the injuries that happen out the back of it, the negative consequences of alcohol, which we all know, and all the rest of it. However, you got to say, and I think I can speak for both of us when I say this, but some of the times that have come out of the back of, nights out, and it's not even necessarily having to drink, but when you drink, you're more merry, and it is what it is. It enhances the experience to a degree, but it also, some of the times that we've had have been unbelievable, and as a result of doing either stupid things, or they just heighten that kind of experience and emotion to the level where you're just like, yes, this is the best. You've also got the pub experience in the UK, where you've got so many people, as many people as possible, crammed into a small space, and it's just such a nice community vibe. And I think actually those are the times that I remember so fondly from third year, was just actually getting around and speaking to people and having a chin wag, and just just being stupid and talking absolute nonsense for hours on end. And I really did love that. But yeah, I think as much as people will slate the UK's approach to drinking, especially university drinking, at the end of the day, as long as you're not an idiot and you're not infringing on anyone else's free will, then do you, don't hurt yourself, and just have a bloody good time.
Yeah, effectively. Um, I think that's really the best you can do because, yeah, I guess maybe try to reduce your alcohol. Apparently, there's health benefits, but I'm not a doctor, so don't ask me.
Not well, you're not a doctor yet. I'm still waiting for you to fashion tweed and be sitting with your big pipe, probably measuring my mental health in about 20 years' time. Anyway, so mate, I realise that I've had you for a while. I'm going to let you go, but before I do that, I'm going to bring us on to a little bit of a game in where we talk about our favourites and some of our favourite experiences and things from uni. So
Okay.
I hope you're ready, because I feel like I've sent you some notes, but I might not have sent you enough things to think about. So we'll see how this goes. But um, during university, what was your favourite drinking game and why?
Uh, um, my favorite drinking game at uni. Um, I don't have a specific one actually. I think it's because so many of them evoke so many stupid memories, which were jokes. There was one where I think it was Musa who taught us, or maybe I don't even know who, but it was like you pass someone something, and it's like, oh, a cup, and then you kind of just go backwards, and you have to basically remember say each one, and and then basically just what happened after a while. I'm describing it so shitly, but what happened after a while is that like someone would just forget, and it was always Musa who'd go. You tried to go this extra long R just to remember what the thing was. You're like I just and I just that for some reason that image of Musa just cracking up in that means that game's hilarious. I don't forgot the game's called, but apart from that, my other favorite game was probably just any general odds on. Um,
Mm,
like
mm.
because like it wasn't
Same.
really a drinking game, but I'd
It's a testosterone fueled game, that.
yeah, but only because I somehow always got like I don't get what it was, but like my ability to pick numbers is terrible. Like I got odds on to. I remember you were there for that when I got odds on to down. I think it was like two bottles of wine.
Oh yes,
by Boller,
yeah,
and then
glorious
I was
times.
he picked like 25, and I got out like it was like 16, and I was like, how have I managed to lose that? And then that's when I sprained my wrist that same night because I punched the punching bag with with all the fury of a highly inebriated man.
Was that in our favourite place, Echoes, by any chance?
No, it was in the Union. It was in the top floor of the Union when they used to have the
Well,
punch. This was like the beginning of second year.
you're a
Um,
solid gold lunatic, sir. If you've broken your wrist in the bloody Union, you.
because I had to go to the Christian room and I was in like a band. I was in like a um, what do you call it? No, yeah, it was like a bandage, but also like more specific. Yeah, I was in a bandage, and then
Moving on. Drinking game. My favourite one, if you remember, is I think it was called At the Races, which is an absolute sensation where we got the old the song playing in the background where you got and then everyone's betting on their little card, and then the more
oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
that was
Yeah, and I've that was sick. Jesus, it's been that long
I
since I've
know,
done fucking
since we've
drinking
had fun.
games. I've
And then
forgotten about.
we didn't bring this one out much, but it's one I highly recommend when you're with in a pre-drinks that involves quite a few couples, Mr. and Mrs. Even it doesn't actually need to be in
Yeah,
couples, but Mr. and Mrs. is always one to incite beef or to just cause arguments, but also just to violate people to the nth degree, whilst also getting hideously drunk. So that
I was just like, who's more likely,
yes,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
no, yeah. No, no, I'm not saying because it's not saying it's a different game. I'm just saying that's how you say it, right? When it's Mr. and Mrs., but you start say the
yeah,
question
yeah,
like,
yeah,
who's
yeah,
more
yeah,
likely to?
yeah. Yeah, no,
Just to
that's right.
clarify.
And then obviously you had, I mean, the staple was Ring of Fire, but I think that was one to really just, that was like the Hail Mary of drinking games where if someone wasn't drunk enough, you'd just be like, right, Ring of Fire. And that is just a surefire way to just bring the house down and get everyone on absolute level.
Yeah, I do like it's the best way to get a lot of people drunk quite quickly, except for like higher lower,
Yeah.
higher or lower.
I
No,
definitely
I
think
can't
we
say
could
that.
have been more
Yeah,
inventive with our drinking games, but by the time that we actually had for prees, when you'd gone to the gym, made your food, and showered, and it was 10:30, and that's no slander, right?
yeah.
But it's just the truth. We do. We
It's just
didn't.
me. That was just me. Listen, I'm just being me. I'm
So,
just being me.
next question: favorite night out you had at uni? It's a big one.
Favorite night out I had in uni. That
Do you
is
know
a
what?
tough one.
I'll,
There's definitely.
I'll set the tone.
Okay, you can go ahead.
So
You go
I remember
first.
the one. This is probably one that I remember most vividly that we've had. Was actually, I don't know if you remember this. It was at the end of first year, and it's right. I think it was in the end of summer exams, and we went to Echoes, that fateful place where the floor would stick to your shoe. Um, and I think at the end we
Yeah.
had an absolute sick time. I think it was a bit of a DBE night where we were going very very hard, and then come the end of the night, I think we ended up getting to the fountain at Loughborough campus at about 6 o'clock, and we were just chatting for absolutely ages, watching the sun come up, chatting nonsense for a long, long time. But I just remember that thinking, look back at that now, and I'm like, wow, that absolutely ridiculous, but such a sick time. And
Yeah, no, I remember that one. I
that
do
was
remember
cool.
that one. That was jokes. I
A
was
lot, a
chatting,
lot.
and then
Yeah, there was a lot.
yeah,
I'm here for it.
yeah,
I put you to bed that
um,
night as well, just to make
yeah.
sure.
No, my yeah. So I don't know. The thing is, I'm not gonna nominate a night. I'm gonna nominate eras because I feel like
I love
university.
that.
This sounds so bad, but university had different like sections. You could split it, and it's not necessarily just even by year, but the two competing kind of like bits for me were third year, first term, and first year, first term. Um, are both just top tier, like pure vibes non-stop for about
I feel
four
like
months.
that was largely
Which
due to
um, no
yeah.
education, just vibes.
I think
No,
that was
it's
during the
just
time
vibes.
where Drake, I think, dropped consecutive albums that were just absolute bangers and were the soundtrack to large proportions of our university experience. It's just that was unbelievable. What a time!
Yeah,
What a time!
to be alive, Dragon. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
What a time to be
to
alive.
finish off on, and
What's the future?
there's no, I think, more perfect way that sums up our relationship than to recall your favorite act of stupidity / nonsense that you've been involved with me.
What's my favorite
Yeah, if you
stupidity
can pick
moment
just
with
one.
you? I found my old phone yesterday and the other day. And I had some video on it of us of just like there was just like a massive, not there was not massive at all, a stupid little water fight in your kitchen, and then for some reason I was holding like the what do you call it? So yeah, this is just like a little one. It was just probably like a little. This is not my answer to the question. This is just to remind you. Um, I was holding the fucking wet floor sign and as like a shield and using like a toy gun as like a sword, like an old school like joust or something. Um, that was cute. But anyway, my answer to your actual question, my probably the moment of stupidity I like
I
the
did like our
most.
Pirates of the Caribbean fights the mornings after nights out. Wildly entertaining.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah,
Broke too many
and souls.
broomsticks with that, but that was fun. No, I know what it was. It was when we were doing. We had a fucking The Rock, like kind of bit in like second year, where we were obsessed with the people's eyebrow, and we used to just come off. And there was that little, I don't even know, like piping or something next to our dorms in second year, and then
Yeah,
we just always step on it like,
I remember
can you
vividly
smell
about 2
what
o'clock
the
in the
rat?
morning after coming back from a night out. I think we were walking home together, and you might have been further ahead of me and trying to get my attention, or trying to antagonize me. And there's a video of me like looking at you, and I'm going, "What? Hey!" And then just full on Usain Bolt sprinting down the road, chasing you like I've gone 0 to 100. And the next thing this video shows is just us, to no one, by the way, just raising our hand like The Rock, listening to his theme tune outside our flat about 2 in the morning. It's so far gone.
That was that. Yeah, I, that was second year. I remember that.
I
That was just a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, eras,
Yeah,
not
to
days.
be fair,
Eras.
second
Yeah.
year was just a blur of nonsense and sporadic education. I will recall one time that it's not even that wild in terms of how stupid it was, but I just feel like it was such a gem of a memory. It was when I think we came home from the Griffin pub. We'd all had a lot to drink. I think we came home with Josh, Albany, Sophie, all of that lot. And went down to the basement when it wasn't completely corrupted, full of mold and damp. And in absolute bliss
Yeah.
for about 2 hours, we watched the train ride from Bergen to Oslo whilst chomping on whatever we could get our hands on from Tesco, like hummus and Doritos or whatever. Just
This is what you say that
wow.
September to December third year was just in terms of like just how funny it was. I think it's just because post January was like a lot of work. Like I didn't really go out as much as we did before then. So that period was just in terms of just enjoyment, top
What
tier,
time,
top
mate?
tier.
I have very much loved going down this little memory lane with you and recalling our university experience. I'm sure I don't know what the actual intention of this podcast was to be an education function for whether people to go to uni or not, to shed light on our university experience. I really don't know, but whatever it's been, I've really loved it, and thank you very, very much for coming on.
No problem. I'll hope to be back
I would love that.
in some time soon um, to spread more gems for the people because that's why I'm a teacher. That's what I do. I spread gems. I drop knowledge. Go college, get knowledge. Kids, remember that.
And
And that's
on that uplifting note, I will end. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. If you are still indeed listening, have a wonderful rest of the weekend or your day. and I will speak to you very soon. Take care.